my mum told me I was born at Dr. Gilbert's. One night, my dad drove me to Dr. Gilbert while Mum's belly was almost ready to explode, so Dad told me. I was born at 4 o'clock in the morning, but when the dear doctor saw me, well, he had a heart attack. In our village later on, people always said that Dr. Gilbert died because I was so ugly. And ugly I was when I was born. Well, I mean different. Because, well, you see, I wasn't born alone. Right from the start, there was 2 of us. And next to my head, there was another head. Our parents give us names. Danny and I got along well at the beginning. We was the best of friends. I remember we sometimes dreamt we would be separated from each other and that we each had our own body. And we enjoyed it when we was allowed to sleep in between Mum and Dad. Everybody was happy. Sometimes I did pee in bed, you know. Well, everyone's done that. But one night, well, Danny had enough of it. The next morning, Mum and Dad were so tired they overslept. Dad hurried off to work. Mum stayed with us. We were a lot of work to her. She breastfed us, and she was very busy with ironing, doing the laundry, cooking. She also made clothes for us, because, well, you see, the shops didn't sell baby clothes for 2-headed babies. You know, Mum was really fond of us, and we of her. In those days, we often sat on a swing in our garden, with Mum pushing us back and forth, which gave me a nice feeling down in my tummy when rocking upwards. Danny enjoyed it too, and that made Mum very happy. Then, one morning, Mum and Dad said we could no longer go out and play in the street, because they said the neighbours were bad people who had no heart. So Danny and I started playing in the garden with marbles. Well, that was great fun too. Until one Sunday afternoon, Dad stepped on a marble and broke his back. He died. It made Mum very sad. Years went by, things changed, we became teenagers, which didn't make things easier. We used to like looking at girls through a peephole in the wall. Then, at last we got there. We had the same urge. We would discover the world, and the world would discover us. My brother and I went outside. Danny was hidden under my cape. And when we met nice people, we said hello. But after a while, we gathered people thought we were weird. They'd rather not meet us in the street. Some even yelled at us that we was ugly monsters. Mum was mad at us for running from the garden, but, well, we couldn't care less, because we'd met Andy, and he showed us Miss April. Oh, those were the good days. He showed us, and we couldn't believe our eyes. Let's say that on that day, we discovered the beauty of nature. It was a fantastic summer, until we had to go back to school. From then on, each morning a bus came to pick us up, just like Andy. We noticed the kids on Andy's bus were afraid of us. You could tell from their faces. Our bus brought us to the Dr. Gutman Institute, where there was other kids like us. Here we learned how to read and write, and in the schoolyard we played soccer. Danny and me were always goalkeepers, and we hardly let a ball in. We were a team. But then, Josephine came. I'd never felt like this before, and she returned my feelings, though Danny got annoyed in the playground. He'd rather have played soccer with the boys. Josephine and I became inseparable, and then she said one day we'd get married and have children. We've been sitting under that magnolia tree for years. We got older, and it became all the more evident that Danny thought he didn't belong with us. And before we realised, we were fighting each other. It no longer worked out between us. That evening, coming home, we saw Andy. We hadn't seen him for years, and evidently he'd made new friends. But that wasn't the worst part of it, because when we got home, we saw the ambulance in front of the door. Mother died from a stroke in a chair at the window while knitting a sweater for us. It made me and my brother very sad. Mum and Dad was reunited in their tomb at St. James's Cemetery. Josephine came to the funeral. She was a great help at that difficult period, and then she moved in with us. The first weeks went smooth. We redecorated the house a bit and put a coat of paint when necessary. It's just with us sleeping that it didn't go so good. Danny didn't like that part so much.
Danny, shut up,
So
will
Josephine left us on September the 26th, leaving a note on the table saying she thought she could handle living with the both of us, but she'd been wrong about it. And then, after Josephine had left, it was also the moment for the separation with Danny. We sold the house and all the furniture, and on the outside it had been neglected for years, we still managed to sell it at a good price. We tried many hospitals, but no one wanted to do the job in a legal way. So that's how we met Dr. Riefenstahl on the internet. One can surely say life is unpredictable. Isn't it, Danny? Easy, mate. Easy, Danny.